The next guest that I'm about to call onto stage is the reason why we're all here, actually. And he's a man that I admire a lot, not only because he put me in what's called the Lucky Sperm Club. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I'll let you Google what that means. But because he's a man that's really left a deep imprint in my psyche, seeing him motivate others, seeing him teach people how to build wealth so that they can impact the community. And you guys all know him. I think trying to introduce him, you guys already know who I'm talking about, right? So help me introduce Mr. Mogobe.
Dumelang, entrepreneurs. Turn to your neighbor and say, hey, you're a wonderful entrepreneur. Tell your neighbor that it's so exciting to be sitting next to you. Because your greatness is rubbing off. Anyway, I thought I should come and talk about the big why question. But before I do, let me mention a few people, although protocol has been observed. Kisimulaga, my dear lovely wife, Mogobe. I recognize your presence. My two sons, thank you guys for being part of this. And thank you for becoming progressively more as obsessed as I am about empowering others. Let me also thank my fellow panelists, starting with Ren Nelson Letweni. In the early 2000s, I think at the time I had met you, sir. We had probably 3 tenants in total. Now today we're approaching 500 tenants by God's grace. And we've been friends throughout this time. Just one metric that has shown some growth. Thank you so much for always turning up and sharing your wisdom. And let me thank you, my banker, for sharing your wisdom so generously and for always being available to come and share, sir, and for educating us. He has been with me throughout this 6-year journey when we're doing the real estate mentorship program. And for that, sir, I thank you massively. And then, of course, my accountant, the man who saved me millions. Thank you so much, sir, for doing your job and doing it so well, and your willingness to be part of this effort to teach others. You've mentioned that you want to start doing this in a formal way, in a structured way. We would be happy to partner with you and to see how we can take it to the masses. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, sir. And then our very own psychologist, psychoanalyst, thank you so much, Ma, for generalist. You've literally saved lives. What we do is that when we see some of our employees, we have over 200 employees across the group, when we see them going through a tough time, even when we see the early signs, we just refer them to the 3rd floor. And she would just sit down, help unpack your difficulties and your challenges. I mean, we all have matata. Some have been involved in all kinds of issues, sexual harassment, issues of, a little bit of violent and errant behavior here and there. And she's able to unpack all that and assist people. And she also, in addition to that, comes once a month to come and motivate and inspire us. For that, Ma, we are very, very grateful. And then let me thank my entrepreneurial friend and pastor. It is very nice to have the combination of entrepreneurship and to also serve the flock. I've always said that the Bible is in fact an entrepreneurship manual in itself. And my experience is that you actually walk that talk. You don't just talk about it. You're an entrepreneur who also teaches and influences people. And Shameless plug, to have a friend who's a pastor, who's also a pastor to the president of the country. Hey, hey. So, the big why do we do this? The answer can only be answered, can only be found in just trying to break down. Then perhaps those of you who are considering embarking on this journey can better understand it. We start off by introducing entrepreneurship to you as the students, and in so doing, we have an overview of what it is historically. We also identify, we help you identify your personal strengths and weaknesses. We help you set goals. We have vision boards, and we try and create an understanding among our students. We even talk about why 90% of businesses fail within the first 3 years, and we make you understand that. And for that, we recommend a book, and the book that you've read by now is The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And this is a very important part of learning, Bahai. So readership is leadership. So you read this book, you internalize the concepts there, and then you become a better entrepreneur that you are. That's what we do the first week. When I say the first week, I actually mean the first fortnight, the first lesson. And then you have to read. We give you a fortnight to read and then to come and report back on this. The second week is about idea generation and validation. We try and teach you techniques for brainstorming business ideas. And there we use the business model canvas system, where we show you what that is about in terms of identifying your unique selling proposition and all sorts of things that are set out in that canvas. We also share a pitch deck, a sample pitch deck, which we encourage you to go through. And then you can basically copy and paste your business and see and stress test it even before you present it to bankers or present it to potential partners. We then teach you what value proposition is all about. We get you to understand with a thing called tele. And this one I'm very big on. And there's no need to deny it. So as a Motswana entrepreneur who has seen it in action and who has been grown up in the setup and got to understand from Baholo, it's something we touch on. When you deal with this tele, how do you deal with it? Sometimes we urge you to resort to confrontation of that tele. Sometimes we advise you to consider litigation and to be shameless about confronting it and resorting to litigation. In this regard, Mr. Lesole is here, I believe. Yes. Uga. Oh, he's sitting up there. And we're very quick to call him. Even before Hopala, there's somebody available. There's a law firm where it all started. We are available to resort to that approach. And then we also draw your attention to a book, Blue Ocean Strategy, that Otlaka has already dealt with. That book, Bakaitu, is a masterpiece. Ager, all the graduates. Is it not a masterpiece? Yeah. Even if you guys are not interested in sitting in a classroom setting and being taught, I would heavily recommend that book. There was a time when I was even calling our meetings. We have monthly meetings, Komokobe Incorporated. I was calling them Blue Ocean Strategy meetings because the book had impacted me so much. So these are some of the learnings you can get from that book. The third lesson is on business model development. We go through that, and the book for that is called Business Model Generation. And then from there we go to marketing. Here I try to live by example. You have to, look at a company like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola literally dominates the market, the soft drink. Put aside the fact that some are saying what is not good for your health. Just admire and look at their marketing strategy. They are what is known as ubiquitous in terms of where they are, where they market. So Luana is an entrepreneur, and for me it was very difficult personally to start changing the paradigm and to start marketing myself on a continual basis. So we teach you the basics of marketing, brand identity, creating a marketing plan, or we talk about it, and for that we draw you to the book here, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. We also move on, as I'm rushing so that we can save time. Financial management, and we call experts who can assist on this issue. Mr. Letshwenu has come to talk about aspects of that in terms of saving and also finance planning, the basics of financial planning, understanding financial planning, budgeting, forecasting. Profit First is the book that we touch on. Sometimes we don't do these things in a pedantic fashion of the way it's done in a regular classroom. We give you an opportunity to learn experientially by bringing in these experts, and we've brought all kinds of experts who have shared their experiences in this regard. The latest such expert was Mr. Nake. Mr. Nake wa Flow Tech. You remember his presentation? It was like masterclass. I mean, this is a guy who's been in this business, and he set up arguably the biggest manufacturing enterprise in the country, you know? And I've seen him start it from scratch because he used to be an accountant for Trans-Africa. He used to come to my office, Lerumo Mogobe, to give me instructions to go and sue people that were owing Trans-Africa at the time. He's running this multi-billion pula company. And me and Sekel, we're having a debate. Did he say he's having 2 to 3 billion per annum, or he said 2 to 3 billion per month? So either way, it is mind-blowing sort of numbers. But he was available, and he's still available to come and teach and share his expertise. Then we move on to legal aspects of business, which I've already alluded to. Issues of business structure. I'll invite Mr. Lesole just to speak for 5 minutes on this. Issues of business structures, issues of intellectual property, trademarks, contracts, and now the big buzzword, what protection? Data protection. That is the big buzzword where we've also teach a little bit about it and certainly refer you to the right resource to learn more about it. Then we go to operations and management. All these things are important for entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is vast. And for you to be very good at entrepreneurship, you need to be at least yourself as the CEO, or as I like to call you, the Chief Inspiration Officer. You're not just the Chief Executive Officer, you're also the Chief Inspiration Officer of your business. Again, Chief Inspiration Officer of your business. We try to go into issues of operations and management, how you set up business operations, managing the resources, the logistics. And for that, the book is E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. How was that book, guys? How was that book? On a scale of 1 to 10, 11. You see, this was a wonderful book, and if you apply the lessons learned there, and the good thing about that book is that at the tail end, they give you forms and systems. They spell them out in terms of ABC of it, so you fully understand. Then we go to sales strategies. Nothing happens without a sale. Again, and generally, naturally, as Batswana, so one of the first things we emphasize, don't be shy about selling. Selling is the key. You are not doing anything as a CEO unless you are in front of a prospect and you are busy trying to tell that prospect into a customer. And your challenge is to identify the suspects. Once you've identified that suspect, you turn that suspect into a prospect, and that prospect becomes a customer. So developing a sales strategy, understanding customer needs, techniques for closing sales, Because there's no need in talking about your product or your business or your service without closing. Some people can't close. What close the hell? Get someone to sign on the dotted line and to make the deal happen. That is always a challenge. And the book for that is Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. And we went on one of our many deep dives on that. And then as I get closer to conclusion, that the issue of, we deal with issues of technology, digital transformation. We try to leverage technology. That's when I call the experts to come in and to help us in that regard. And we've called Mr. Shimaki Akupa. Yeah, we called Mr. Shimaki Akupa, and he went in a deep dive, almost 2 hours on this issue, leveraging digital tools, platform, cybersecurity basics, 10xing your business, and the book that we recommended in addition to calling in the experts, Digital Transformation, Survive and Thrive in an Era of Mass Extinction by Thomas Sibel. And some of the books I know, Jorge, in the 6 months that we've had together, you may not have been able to read them cover to cover. But I'm urging you strongly as you embark on your entrepreneurship journey to go back to them and, as it were, to go through the course once again. We talk about leadership and team building. There we've got 5 aspects of it. I'm not going to dwell on them. And the book for that is Leaders Eat Last. Leaders Eat Last. And this one is nice because it reminds of some of the concepts that's a Tswana. You know, most Tswaneng had the moja morago ke kgosi. It already ties in with that. Most Tswaneng had the kgosi ke tutubolo e olela matlakala. So this sort of learning really encourages us to adopt the concept of servant leadership. This is the kind of leadership yabo Mahatma Gandhi, the kind of leadership yabo Nelson Mandela, the kind of leadership yabo Martin Luther King Jr. That kind of selfless leadership, the kind of leadership you are none other than JC. Let me see JC. Yeah. Who's JC?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. We are always shining. So this is the kind of leadership we're talking about. So as we come to the conclusion, we deal with issues of fundraising, and this one is always a challenge, where as a founder, as a CEO, you are so excited about your business, you forget about the market. You're so obsessed with how wonderful this little thing you've created, whether it's a gadget, whether it's it's a business idea or a service, you forget about the market. This is where now my experience with Angel Network Botswana in terms of A and B comes in, where as a result of my experience calling in young entrepreneurs, coming here, all excited, and then you ask them 2, 3, 4 key questions, and they collapse under pressure because they have not done the necessary homework. And this is so important. So we teach you funding options. Again, we revisit the issue of the pitch deck. We also talk about how to negotiate with investors. And in this regard, Haribuaka investors, the bank is also included. The banks, start seeing the bank as an investor in you as well. The investor is not just us as angel investors. Investors are not just us as venture capitalists or whoever you're asking for money for funding on. And if I tell you that Go Angel Network Botswana, we have a turnaround period, they are 3 months. And we normally go through the cycle where you as an entrepreneur are referred to myself and to Mr. Gurumuti for purposes of vetting, as it were, for purpose of seeing whether your pitch deck is ready. And then after that, we then refer to the rest of the angels for presentation. But lately, we are finding our funnel, although a lot of entrepreneurs show interest, but because they are not prepared to do the basic work of understanding the market and understanding what the market wants. The main approach, it's saying a lot of people, it stopped a lot of people from getting funding. When will I make money? Instead of what problem is there to solve and how do I solve it? The focus becomes on would be the easier road to wealth. So we try to say, let's shift that focus from making money, because in the 3 months, that the turnaround period, the numbers are getting fewer and fewer, Angel Network Botswana, in terms of those who eventually get funding. Because there's a rush to want the money from the angel without making sure that you've put enough systems in place in terms of educating yourself. We have instances of founders who come to us not even understanding the valuation of their businesses. And we had a mock exercise 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, when 2 of you were making presentations, pitch presentations. You remember? And you realize the biggest learning in terms of the comments in the group was valuation. It's very, very important for you to learn how to value your companies, so that when you are seeking, it doesn't matter whether you are seeking equity or you are seeking debt in terms of the initial funding proposition. You need to have a valuation in place and have an idea of what the company you are starting is worth. You can even have a projected valuation based on certain deliverables coming to pass. I get nditela ndohofi. I cannot take the chance throughout the whole speech. All right, as I come to the end, the importance of scaling, we underscored. Oh, by the way, the book on that one was Venture Deals by Brett Field and Jason Mendelson. But of course, in between, I've also recommended a powerful book. It is required reading. You all have it? What's the name of the book? Shameless plug, Nuggets of Grit, where I share my experiences. I also encourage you so that you can have a local context aspect to read the second edition of Ramachang's book, The Magic of Perseverance. I learned that he has produced another book which is very explosive, certain people. I'm yet to get a proper review of that book, but I've been getting some explosive posts on social media. So I'm yet to see. But for our purposes, go to The Magic of Perseverance and understand also. Because it's another kettle post boy, it's another young man now, and we're able to change our situations around. Look at where he is, Ramachang. Look where the good Lord has put me as a result of just being persevering. That's why the book is called The Magic of Perseverance. That's why my book is called Grit. Now, the book for that is Scaling Up by Venu Hanish. I'm saying all this to say what? To say, I've realized that although there's a big argument, are entrepreneurs made or are they born? That at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. By the way, let me ask the question. Do you think entrepreneurs, we are made or we are born? Okay. It's an interesting answer because John Maxwell has answered this question to say, jokingly, I've not yet met an entrepreneur who wasn't born. Do you get the joke? Yeah, then Sekhan then. If you get the joke, laugh. But if you don't get it, then you can keep quiet. But here, let me interpret it for those who didn't laugh, because some didn't get it. We're all born one way, so he's making a spin on that. So the argument, are entrepreneurs born, are they made, is that they are both. They are both born and made. My view, my considered view, you cannot become a successful entrepreneur unless you do what Otaka has advised. Otlaka has advised in one of his seminal work on what it takes to succeed. You need to absorb a great deal of information in your area of expertise. You can absorb that information by throwing yourself into the marketplace through trial and error, getting yourself cut and possibly quitting, or through what you guys have done, through the process of mentorship. But real mentorship where you read and you learn. And the expression he used, you have to absorb a gargantuan amount of information. Gargantuan in large amounts. So I believe in that. Secondly, you become an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, by getting out of the comfort zone. That's number 2. You have to get out of the comfort zone. And the example we normally give, for the caterpillar to turn into a butterfly, there's a gut-wrenching, horrible process that it goes through for it to become a butterfly. But scientists have found out if you help that caterpillar, in that cocoon, or that cocoon, or somehow, that caterpillar is going to die. In other words, the caterpillar stroke butterfly has to itself, we're not mentors, we can just help, feed information, encouragement. But you yourself have to do the work in terms of applying your energies towards knowledge acquisition, reading those books line by line, avoiding shortcuts, having that discipline and consistency. So that's number 2. The third and the largest, which also I got from you, sir. Yeah, you always have to acknowledge the author. So you get the full credit, is the need for physical activity. This is where you come in. I think this is where you can confirm, Lo, and I say, this is your area. The scientists have found there's a direct body-mind connection, and the way you keep yourself going and in tip-top condition is by being physically active. I had the privilege of meeting my mentor, on Friday, Mr. Muni. I talk about him in the book. He's my mentor. He's also my neighbor. Kena monga I-Towers, kena monga ODE, kena monga Trans-Africa. And he mentioned this thing. He's 86 years old, but he has a physical regiment. He talks of doing meditation in the morning, going for walks. He used to walk around the CBD, but he says he's cut it down now because somebody attacked him or almost attacked him. Now he walks on a treadmill. And then what else does he do? He also, it's those 2 things that he does. He gets physically active, and then he also attends board meetings. He's no longer the chairman of the board, but he actually attends board meetings. Rona batswana rena le go pressure bagolo ba rona, mama o papa o tla retire leng. Ke gone ha o bola mosadi mogolo le mona mogolo mo isa kwa le bitleng. O na re retire o tsohetse o la pile. No, keep them going. The retirement thing, as far as Mr. Muni is concerned, as far as I'm concerned as your mentor, is a scam. Don't encourage people to retire. Yes, yes, at a certain point, but they don't do that. And in this regard, kudos to you, Ma. You recently left government and went on your own. Yeah, left BTC, which is a parastatal. But what am I saying? My point is that let's remain active. Let's absorb gargantuan amounts of information. And finally, let us get out of our individual comfort zones on a continual basis. Thank you very much. And congratulations. Congratulations.